table number, teacher, name, string, cities. I have one Excel file, a CSV file, so I would move that file into this table by using the load command. Right, so that's why I'm creating all those cells accordingly. Then branch. So these all are the fields. Then row. Fields. Query to create this student table in the Hive. Everything will go fine. It will display okay. So you can write describe all those fields are there. Okay, roll number, names. So actually if I write select star from student, it will not display anything because there is no record right now in this. Right. So now I will use the first command of DML command, which is the load command. Now what this command will do, it will let me show you that file also. In my this folder I have this student.csv file. Fine. So I have entered few more records into it. So I have around 20 records. So these are all are the records. This is roll number, name, sex, then age, then city, then the branch. So what I am going to do, I am going to load this CSV file into the table by using the load command. Right. So here I will write load data local in path. Right. So this I have to specify, then path home we have this file called student.csv. Right. Table student. Right. So this is the same command that I have shown you, load data local in path, then the path file path will come into the table. Right. So I'm just using very few or the required option of the command to transfer the data into the student table of Hive. Fine. So if I write select star from student, now you can see all the records have been populated into this table student by using this command. Right. So जो वहाँ पे थे record, the same records are here also. Now you can apply various commands. Select star from student where branch is equals to so it will display all those records. Now if I go to this browser and look for this particular table, let me show you that also, how to access from the browser. So this is the panel. Today I will also show you some commands that we will run in the Hive shell and will also appear here in the Hadoop. Fine. So this is our Hadoop cluster interface, and this is our name node. Now under this utility, if you can see we have this browse the file system. If I click on this, now it will show me that now we are in the user directory and under Hive, and there is a warehouse directory. Under warehouse directory we have this mydb.db database. Under this mydb.db database we have student, and under student we have the student.csv. If I click on this, it will show me the details of this. You can download this and you can apply this head file. Now head file, what it shows, you the records, all the records, and tail also. So because right now I don't have much record in my file, so that's why it is showing all the records here. But if the file contains thousands of records, then it will show you some of the records of the file. Similarly, head from the beginning and from the end. So this way we can see the file system of our name node. Right now here you can see if I am into this directory, users directory, and there is no partition available. Right, there is no partition available in this database. There is only one table. Now what I will do, I will create partitions into this database by using the partition command. Fine, because up to this point we have not used the partition command with the create table. But now I will show you how to create partitions. Now there are two ways. As I have told you, there are two ways to create partitions. Fine, one is the static partitioning and second is the dynamic partitioning. Fine. Now static partitioning, we have to do everything. Fine, so we have to define our columns on which we would like to create a partition. Right, so we have to pass the partition column manually while loading data into the table. Right, so but in case of dynamic partitioning, uh, the values of the partition column exist within the table. So it is not required to pass the values of the partition column manually. So what is the meaning of this? I will show you with some example. Right, and before going into the dynamic partitioning, we have to set two properties. What are those properties and what is the significance of those properties? I will talk about that later on when we will discuss this dynamic partitioning. Right, so right now what is our status? We are into this Hive and we have created one table student. Now what we would like to do, we would like to create one partition. That too is the static partition. Fine, so if you just let me show you the create command. I will type command here to just save time. So here what I will do, I will write that command straight away here, create table. Here I will create two tables. One is static student, which is to uniquely define the static partitioning, and second would be the dynamic student table. Fine, so this table is the static table. Here I'm specifying the various fields: roll number, integer, name, string. Then we have 6, which is also string. Then we have age, which is integer. Then we have city. Now what I would like to do over here is I want to create a static partition on the branch field. Fine, on the branch field. So what I will write, city, that is again string. But here it is a static partitioning, so we have to define our own partitioning. We have to manually define. Right, so partitioned by branch. Fine, so here you can see branch is not the part of this, but I am creating a static partition, so that's why I have to specify the branch. Right, here. and the partition key. Rest all is same, row format delimited, then fields terminated by if everything goes fine, it will display okay. If I go and now type describe this student static underscore student. Now you can see the structure is little bit different. Here we have all the fields: roll number, name, sex, age, city, branch. Branch itself is it has included. I have not included in the this portion of this command. If you see, I have not included here, but it is a static partitioning, so we have to define manually the partition key. So partitioned by branch. Now if you see, branch is the part of this table, but it is a partition key also, so it also provides you that information, partition information, and branch is the partition key over here. Fine. Now this is the description. Now what I would like to do, I would like to populate this branch statics table with the data. Right. So here what I have to do, like, let me show you this. Now I have two files. One here I have created two files, one with this data which contains only 3 records of the I think CSC students, and this is the another file which contains the records of the IT students. Fine. So similarly, if you have more branches like mechanical, if you want to create a partition for the mechanical, electrical, then you have to create separate files like this. Fine. And then we have to populate the data into this file. So we have to write load data local in path, same format, home documents slash the name of the file student.student1.csv. Fine. And then into which table? Into table static underscore student. Fine. And partition on branch is equals to CC. Right. So if I write this, if everything will go okay, now you can see it has displayed everything. So okay, it has displayed the status. Okay, that means the query runs successfully. Now if I go and change this to IT, let me change first the second file. So here we have to do everything manually. So that's why to write all the commands. And then I want to create another partition on IT. Fine. Now, if I write select star on static underscore student, now you can see there are only records pertaining to two branches, CSE and IT. Fine. If I write where branch is equals to CSE, then it will display me only the records of CSE. Now let me show you the browser directory. Now if I refresh this, now you can see there is another table, static student, which we have just created with the partitioning. And if I click on this particular table, now you can see there are two partitions over here. One is on basis of CSC and second is on the basis of branch. And we have done everything manually, right? We have given the commands to create branch by CSE. Similarly, if you would like to create a new partition with branch ME, you need to have separate file of ME student in CSV, and then you will populate that with the command load command to create a new partition. If I go into the details of this, and you can see CSV1 student1.csv is there. If I open it, you can see the various records of this file. like there are 3 records, so this will show you the contents of that file. Fine. So this is static partitioning where we are doing everything. We have to manually do everything. Now we will see the second kind of partitioning, which is the dynamic partitioning. Now, before going into the dynamic partitioning, we have to, as I told you, we have to set few properties. Right. So what are those properties? So let me go back to this terminal. Here we have to set this property, set hive dot exit dot dynamic partition is equals to true. The purpose of this is we are saying that we will now create a dynamic partition. Fine. So to create a dynamic partition, first we have to apply this command. Set this property of partition to true. By default it is false, so we have to set this. So first we have to set this, then we have to set the mode also. Mode is equals to non-strict. Purpose of this is setting this property to non-strict is by default dynamic partitioning mode is strict. That means it requires one static partitioning column manually. So what if we don't set this to non-strict, we have to partition first partition manually, and then we can use dynamic partition. If you don't want to do anything, if you want Hive will do everything for you, you just say this property dot mode is equals to non-strict. So in that way, it will turn off the strict property. Fine. So where the condition is, we should have at least one static partition column, so that it will turn off. Fine. So just press this. Now we can create various dynamic partitions also. So let me quickly see अगर मुझे वो मिल जाती है. Because so here this is the command create table dynamic student. Again I have written all the cell names, and then here we will specify the partitioned key, partitioned by branch string, then row format delimited, then last is field terminated by this. So here I am creating one new table dynamic student with all those fields and partition on the branch. So if I run this, and now if I see the describe dynamic underscore student, it will show me the structure of that, and there is a branch field. Fine. In this case, what I will do, I will use the second command. Fine. First, I have used the load command, and now I will show you insert into table command. Fine. So I will take, because I'm already having this student table which contains some records. Now I will use that table to move some records to this table. Fine. So let me quickly search this. So this is the command here. What I'm doing, I'm saying insert into dynamic student partitioned on branch, select roll number, name, sex, age, city, branch from student. So already I am having student table. Now what I would like to do, I would like to move data from an existing table into this new table partitioned on branch. Here I am not doing any manual partitioning. I am just copying one table. So what would be the effect of that? Let's see. So if everything will go fine, so let me show you one more thing here, that if you refresh this, now you can see the same query over here. Right? So this is the various applications which are currently submitted to the Hadoop, the HDFS. So application submitted one, and this is the query that I have submitted. It is a map reduce. See, we have submitted SQL query, and here it is written map reduce, because this is the functionality of Hive to convert the SQL queries into MapReduce or HQL queries into MapReduce. So that's why it is showing MapReduce over here. So you can also see the stages. If I go back, just a minute. Okay. You can see the map stage 0% reduce, stage 0% stage, map 100% reduce, 0%, map 100% reduce, 100%. So everything is done now. Fine, so it will show me okay message after this. Fine, so everything is fine. Now if I again apply this query select select star from dynamic student, so let us see what will happen. It will show me all the records. Fine, so let's see what is the change here in the directory. If I refresh this, now you can see there is a dynamic student database, a table under this MyDB database. If I click this, have you noticed anything? Have you noticed the change? Can anybody explain what is the change over here? Hello. Right now, I have not specified anything that partition the table on the basis of IT, partition the table on the basis of CSC. It has automatically created the partitions on the basis of branch field. If I go back, yeah. if I go back here at and see the static table. Here in the static, I have to specify the queries for this. I have to create a partition from branch for CSC. I have to create partition for IT separately by giving commands. But if I go into the dynamic, I have not done anything. I have not defined that I have to create for CSC, for IT, for mechanical. I have just specified him that create partition on the basis of branch. So जो भी unique data था उसके अंदर, if you go, it has found these unique data, branch C, branch CSC, EC, IT, mechanical. So if I go into the details of this, fine. And if I click over here, now you can see these are the only two students who belongs to this particular branch, which is ECE. Fine. So if I go back again, click on CSC, and this is the name it has by default given. So these are the students who are from CSC. Now you can run the same queries in this here also in the terminal by saying where branch is equals to IT. Now what Hive is doing over here, it is not copying the complete data and then applying the query. It is only accessing this portion, this partitions. Right? These partitions it is accessing, right? Because we have divided that data into partitions on the basis of branches. Right? So that's why when it, because right now if you see time is very less, but if you have a huge file, in that case this time matters. Ultimately what Hive is doing, Hive is not retrieving all the records one by one. It is not accessing this record, then seeing where, oh, it is not from IT. I have to skip it, then move to the next part, move to the next one. Not doing like this. It is going into the partition and then simply fetching the records of that particular partition. Right? So that's why this time is very crucial here, because right now I don't have much data. So that's why it is not showing me the time it has taken. We are basically not able to analyze that time. But if my records are more, thousands of records are more, then this time does matter. Fine. So that is what I would like to show you, the partitioning, the different kinds of partitioning. In the case of static partitioning, we have to manually tell Hive that create this partition on this ID, create this partition on this particular ID. But when we go into the dynamic partitioning, we just have to give the column name. Fine. If I go back here I'm just saying, see, partitioned by branch. This is what I'm saying. But if you remember the static, there I have to specify branch is equals to CSE, branch is equals to IT. Fine. Here I'm saying only branch. So Hive automatically created all the partitions on the basis of the uniqueness of the data in this field. Clear? So this is how partitioning work in case of Hive. I hope you got the idea. Fine. So you
Excuse me, sir.
write, and yeah.
Sir, like